Welcome to another episode of Close of Play with me, Sanjay Murthy, and I'm joined today by a man who you are going to see and hear a lot of over the next few weeks whilst the Ashes thunders along down under. Geraint Jones played in the '05 successfully series. He also played in the '06-'07 series, which we will touch on. Didn't go so well for England, getting absolutely hammered, but Jonesy, welcome to Close of Play. Looking forward to our chats over the next 6 weeks.
Hello, Sanjay. Yeah, I am, mate. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of cricket watching, which I'm looking forward to as a fan now. Uh, and the fact that I think so many people are going out there to watch this, and I've got a few mates going out there. It's really helped with the build up and preparing. So I'm excited about it and looking forward to us chatting daily.
Yeah, I bet Jen's, your wife, is over the moon with that. You can legitimately use me as an excuse to watch cricket.
Yeah. I've got to work out what alarm time to set. That's the tricky bit, and match it in with being in an okay state to come and actually do my day job
Yeah, yeah.
of teaching. So the balance and the lines could get heavier and darker eyes and stuff. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to. I'm actually, yeah, as I said, I'm really excited at being sat as a cricket fan and watching and the anticipation and especially in Australia when you wake up in the morning. So Perth's a bit different with the start at sort of half
Yeah,
one,
2:30 or so, isn't it?
well in bed by then.
Yeah.
But waking up and having a look in, seeing where the scorecard is something which I do remember in previous series doing, and generally in previous series it's been turning it off pretty quick.
Yeah, exactly. Christmas Day, staying up to 11 or so and watching the first over from MCG was always a thing I'd try and do. I say it's only a few days out now. How do you think how are the teams shaping up? You know, what are the nerves like? If I take you back into the change rooms, you know, what are the nerves like? It's Tuesday today. First test starts on Friday, so just a few days out. What are the feelings like? What are the nerves like in the camps?
I think they'll just be wanting to get underway. The teams have prepared. Obviously, you've got the comments that have been going around about England's preparation and the way they've gone about it, and then you've got the Australians on their home soil, and they would have been playing Shield cricket, being around their family, and so they've, for the guys that aren't Perth based, they've flown over and they've started their preparation on that. So I think you've got two teams in quite different positions, and England being settled and pretty happy with their lineup, and they've been building up on that for a few years now, and the method of play and everything like that I'm sure we'll talk about. But and then you've got the Aussies who over the last few weeks have had some big blows, especially with their bowling, because that's where they've been outstanding. Their bowling unit has just been incredible over the last few years, and that's been sort of decimated in the last sort of week or so, and so they're in a really different position as to an unknown going into this test match. A couple of guys who haven't played before potentially, whereas England have got some nice headaches potentially as to can we fit an extra one in or not, or what do we go with?
Yeah, the lineups are interesting, aren't they? I mean, well, you know, England, I think, as you said, 1 to 7 are settled. I think the Pope Bethel thing's been put to bed for now. I mean, Ollie Pope got 190, didn't he, in the warm-up game? But yeah, so 8, 9, 10 Jack are probably where England have got the flexibility to make different decisions. Will Jacks is an interesting pick on that tour. I mean, it's not like some random pick they've come up with. There must be a plan for Will Jacks in terms of playing. Is that how you see it?
Potentially, yeah, you're right. Where does he slot in? Because his bowling is a real unknown, and if it's that slower bowling, we've got Bashir, who they clearly back, and
Hmm.
he's performed well, and so that's looking at your spin option out there pretty much covered. And I suppose they're looking if something was needed changing in that department, if the Aussie batsmen were really taking him down and him
Hmm.
not looking like doing a job, because in Australia your spin is a bit twofold. You need your spinner to back up the bowlers and give them a rest. And so you need a spinner to be able to hold up an end and not go for a lot of runs, and then maybe chip away with the odd wicket, especially in the first innings. And so having Will Jacks, who's a complete unknown about that, is quite a gamble. And then we saw in the warm up match, Joe Root bowled a bit, but
Hmm.
the young Lions absolutely took him down, didn't he? He went for over
Yeah.
100
Yeah.
in
Well, that was the headline in the papers, wasn't it?
yeah.
Who gets his 100 in Australia?
Yeah, exactly. So an out. He's obviously in mainly for his batting jacks with that bit of a bowling backup. Because obviously you've got Jacob Bethel as well with his slow left arm stuff. So it's I think they've maybe hedged their bets a bit, but ultimately they want Bashir to do a great job, and he's the man they've backed for the last few years, and
Yeah.
that's their number one. And so I think they've then just got a couple of patch-in players who they can slot in there.
So, if they start with Bashir, I mean, Australia are going to go after Bashir. I mean, he's got to be number one pick as far as who to take down, because they know that England haven't brought a specialist backup spinner.
Yeah, and I think, and that's where cricket's become quite analytical and stats, and the one thing that I know that they love about Bashir is his release point. He's a tall man
It's
and he
full, yeah.
releases it from high, so you'd expect on the Australian wickets that he would cause some trouble with that bounce, and so they've been looking at that, and as I say, stats have played a big part in why Bashir plays, and in Australia with the wickets out there, and especially the talk of the Perth wicket and then Brisbane, within those first few, I think that's where he will have an advantage. But you're right. I think the Aussies will look to take him down, because if he doesn't bowl much, you have more pressure on our quicker bowlers who
Mm,
definitely have injury concerns. I don't think any of them can play all five. And
mm,
then you got Ben Stokes, that talisman, who if there is anything, he puts himself forward, but we don't want Ben Stokes broken, and
no.
so the Aussies will be looking to put that pressure on the England side, and that is through probably Bashir when he bowls, and then getting those fast bowlers to get miles in the legs, bowling over and over, getting them into third spells, stuff like that.
Talking of tall, fast bowlers, Steve Harmison has played a large part in your career. You were there, obviously, as a keeper in '05 when you took the catch that effectively won England the Ashes. You were also the keeper when when Harmy's first ball in '06-'07 hit second slip, setting the tone probably for the rest of that tour. Could you was there a discernible difference at the top of Harmy's mark as to what was going to happen?
No, no, not at all. It was as much of a surprise as to everyone it was to me, because I called yours to Freddie, and I went to second slip, and so as a ball that's released and goes directly to second slip, I can't recall another moment in my cricket career where that's happened. So not even on the village green for Ash in Division 7 of the Kent League, I don't. So it was a real shock, and it did send shockwaves through us, because building up to that first test of the 06-07 Ashes uh, in Australia was difficult.
Hmm.
We played a number of warm up matches which didn't go great. We had Marcus Trescothick leave the
Oh
tour,
yeah, yeah.
no Varney, and so there was a bit of it. It wasn't smooth sailing leading into it, and so then for that to happen, first ball just sort of knocked the wind out of our sails, and we really struggled going, in that test match, and the rest is history. 5-0. Their legends getting to celebrate in Perth after the third test, and really rub our noses in it.
And the Casper catch, how do you remember that? I mean, you stood there, you crouched down as normal. Harmy starts his run up, and then what happens?
Yeah, well, the whole build up that morning was just incredible. We walked out first thing expecting it not to last very long. We had a few wickets to get. They had 120 odd runs to get, and so we figured, well, this done deal, done deal. But massive respect to the way that Brett Lee played and Casper himself, all those batters. But there's a few weird things like Shane Warne, the great Shane Warne. You look back at his dismissal in that he managed to kick his stumps over
Yeah, yeah.
from outside leg, and with his back leg, it was just again another sort of incredible dismissal, which added to it. But for me, we walked out that morning, and for those of us who are going to watch the Ashes, I'm sure in the crowd you'll see the fanatics, which is the supporters in their yellow shirts, and there was a
Yeah.
group of them sort of
Is
behind
that
me.
Murph Hughes's bunch?
Yeah, I think he joins in with them. If there's beer, he'll be there. So, but yeah, so they started counting down, sort of in a singing fashion, how many runs to go, and it just sort of resonated with me about that, and it just didn't sit right. And so as it got less and less and less, and then obviously as players we were getting nervous because we were thinking, where's this going to come? And then obviously you had a moment where the ball went to Simon Jones down at third man, really, really difficult catch, but it spilled out. And you thought, oh, is that our moment there? Is that our chance? And then you had Brett Lee absolutely lace one out, and we'd left Kev Peterson at a deep point, which either genius by Varney or had forgotten him. We're probably still not sure.
You don't forget Kev, though, do you?
But yeah, so you got that. But I suppose for that catch, when it got down that close, I just felt there would be one more opportunity, and more than likely it would come my way. I'd spilled a couple of pretty easy catches at Lords. There'd been, again, that morning, Harmy had bowled one down leg side. It hit the footholds, went over my head for 4 byes. That got that Australian crowd into me. So they'd given me little bits of gentle ribbing the whole way through that morning. And so I just was telling myself in the moment, something will come. It's going to come to you. Make sure you hold it. So when it did happen, Harmy, again, whether it was genius or by mistake, but that bouncer, great bouncer, just over the left ear roll, and to a number 11 batsmen, they've got to fend it off. Now history will say, was it out? Was not? Yes.
Yeah.
Look in the books. Yeah. And so, but I see it in slow motion. I can even today sort of just see it all happening. The ball hitting the glove, it deflecting. It came to me relatively slowly. I love the way people ask me about it now, they describe it as this complete one-handed specky Superman style. What actually reality was, it was a very catchable ball. I did have to move a bit, but watching it come to me, watching it settle into those orange gloves, roll over, and then Billy Bowden's crooked finger, up it came. And then once I saw that pandemonium, it was probably the most intense release of emotions on a cricket I had. So, if you watch back in that, the famous box set, watch where I go. I break free of Trescothick, manage to go, and then I make my way to those Aussie fans, and
yes, that's right.
Just to, just out of emotion. Then Gilo has a go trying to hold me back, and so that was that moment. It was it was up there. It is up there as what I'm known for. I'm known for that catch. Very, very kindly recently, Michael Vaughan described me as his best Ashes teammate just for holding on to that catch. And it's a great moment in history that I'm so proud to be part of, and I'm so thankful I held on to it.
And do your boys ever recreate it at home?
No.
Do they know you played cricket?
Yeah. My oldest boy Reese has he sends me stuff on Instagram now. He'll send me a reel which he's seen, and so he's getting an understanding of what I did. And my youngest one, Tommy, that's him in the background over my left shoulder. That's one of my favourite moments when we won the 50 over stuff.
That was at Gloucester, wasn't it?
Gloucester, yeah, they're really young there. So now they're 16 and 14. Reese, especially because he's into his sports, really good hockey player, and so he's understanding what levels. I think he's getting prouder the older he gets.
That's your WhatsApp picture, isn't it? You holding the boy's hands, walking out after you've won it. We touched on the warm-up stuff. You were talking about Perth and didn't go very well. Obviously, that's where England are. Lilac Hill. They've basically had a warm-up match against each other. What do you think of that? I mean, I don't think Stokes and Basil care about the history, particularly in terms of what's gone in the past. In fact, results say that actually, it doesn't matter how many warm-up games, you're not going to win that often in Australia. I mean, I think 15 tests since the last time, and I think 10, 11 when England won and, lost 13 of them. So the warm-up seemed to be immaterial. But what's your take on how they've approached it so far?
I haven't got a problem with it. If I think back to my experience out there of 06-07, I think we played three. We had the Prime Minister's
Yeah.
11 and then a couple of others. What you're doing is you're extending the series to 8 matches because they're intense matches. And so you're putting, especially for our fragility with fast bowlers, you're wanting to, if you then put 3 extra matches on it, and especially the way Test matches go down, if we're going towards Test match 4 and 5, Sydney and Melbourne, and needing, and it's tight, and we need wins, and all of a sudden, hang on a minute, our bowlers have already played 5 pretty full-on matches. That's where the injuries creep in. And you're right, I don't think they care, the current group,
Hmm.
because they're still preparing in the nets. That it's intense. The bowlers will be charging in. If me personally, I was, you get the list, the net list of who you're facing and who you're, and I'd look down at it and I'd look at it and I'd say, oh no, I've got Harmison, I've got Jones, I've got Flintoff. They're bowling at me today.
Hmm.
And so that's your preparation. So our batters are facing, our fast bowlers, and so for them, it's that preparation. And these guys, I don't think you really switch off from your batting at that top level. You're just looking for a little bit of rhythm along the way. And the argument is, if you play 3 matches and you don't score a run, you're then going into that first Test match nervous, wondering where it's coming from. And so by playing that inter-squad match, they can manipulate it. They can do what they want. If someone wants to have another bat, you go for it. And so I don't have a particular problem with it at all, because I can see the protection side for the fast bowlers. Our current batters, they're young, they're fearless. They just want a bit of they want a bit of time in the middle. I think Zach Crawley said 80 runs in the middle is 80
Hmm.
runs. They're ready to go. They want Friday to come now. And so if you're there for, a number of them played in the 1 day stuff. So it's not like they've gone from having 6 months without picking up a bat or bowling.
No.
They're all still pretty fresh in what they're doing, and so they don't need huge amounts, and they're mentally fresh as much as anything.
Zach Crawley's interesting, isn't he? You mentioned him there. If a man is built for batting in Australia, he is that man, because the compulsion, I guess, for the Aussies is to bowl it short at him, and he's good, he's good short. And then if you pitch it up, as the first ball of the Ashes here showed, he's going to smack you through the covers. Do you think this settled England batting up to from Crawley to Smith 1 to 7 is actually has been assembled and built, and the consistency, Rob Key very well, has been built for this moment?
I don't know about necessarily this moment. Keezy's just picked talent. He absolutely loves talent. The people he surrounds himself with are hugely talented people, and all those batters are incredible. They can turn matches themselves. You could argue they could each score 100 in a session.
Yeah.
And that just changes stuff. And so that's where they've gone down the line. And so yes, it's going to, someone like Crawley having his height and being able to dominate on the front foot when the ball will bounce a bit, whereas others may, that may be coming higher. So, hopefully we see another first ball 4 from him.
Yeah.
That would be a great way to start it. The first ball of the Ashes throws some stuff up, doesn't it? Go back to when I was growing up, Michael Slater. He
Yeah.
did the same as what Zach Crawley did there, and then you're talking about
Exactly.
Harmies. Yeah, and so I think people, the anticipation of one ball out of a 5 Test match series, but everyone's waiting for it. So, but back to the batters, they're just talent. They can change matches, and the beauty of them is they've learned to adapt to situations. If we go back to when Bazball first came about,
Or the Harry Brooks shot.
and didn't quite get it right. I think someone like Joe Root struggled with the adaptation of what was
Yeah.
expected of him, and now he's got a sweet spot of the combining of the two, and you do get it. I think that's the thing. These guys have been a settled lineup for a number of years. They've stuck with Crawley through thick and thin. so many times there's been a lot of media cries to change, move on, but they've stuck with him because he does what they want. At some point in this series, he will play an extremely valuable knock,
Hmm.
and that's what they're confident on. And so with all of them, they've learnt to bat together. They enjoy batting together, and they know that when it comes to their time, they can express themselves, and they are backed to do whatever it needs. And who knows? They could try and score 500 in a day in one of
Yeah.
these.
Didn't
400 used to be the benchmark.
Yeah, exactly. You guys did that, didn't you? In a day in the '05 series. The Aussies, let's move on to them briefly. I mean, they're in disarray. They've got, you know, they got, obviously two bowlers out, potentially what? Jason Gillespie says that Brendan Doggett's he's going to make his debut. I mean, first debutant since Scott Boland in 2021, opening batsman who's Khawaja going to open with. But Australia just seem to come together, don't they? Doesn't matter how much disarray the media or whoever else, sort of from people looking in, I don't think the Australians will see it like that, will they?
Yeah, don't write them off.
No.
They're on home soil, and yes, it's not been ideal. They've losing their bowlers, especially their bowling unit has been outstanding, arguably the best in the world for the last sort of 3-4 years, and they've built. And then, but if they have needed someone like Scotty Boland has stepped in. I think his debut was Australia. Was the last
Yep.
Ashes, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Where he
just yeah,
tore us
yeah, yeah,
apart.
yeah, yeah. The
You know,
COVID one. Yeah.
yeah, Melbourne Test match, and
Hmm.
so he now has stepped in, and I think the difference is they maybe have lost a bit of that high pace quality. If you look at the England side, we're going to try and blast them out. We're
Yeah.
going for pace and fear, whereas the Australians have, they're exception. They slight little movements of the ball, bit of lateral movement, but they wear you down. That's been the Aussie way of bowling. Even from when I was growing up,
Well,
and
Terry Alderman, Glenn McGrath.
yeah, high skill,
Yeah.
just hang it around just outside that off stump, threaten the outside edge because the nicks will carry.
Yeah.
We can just a little bit of lateral movement because lateral movement's the hardest to play. Swing batters can adjust to, but if
Hmm.
it nips off the pace with a bit of bounce,
Yeah.
you
It's
don't have
late.
time. Yeah, so in terms of that, they've still got Stark.
Yeah.
He 100 Test match player. He's obviously going to they're going to lean on him a lot, but he can't bowl you long spells. He's he's going to be sort of the Mark Wood, Jofra Archer,
Yeah.
coming in and try and use that new ball up front, swing it, hit some pads, get some wicket. But then he's going to have to be carefully managed, and then Ewing. I don't know much about Doggett other than I think he was man of the match in the Shield final for which has gone last season for
Hmm.
taking 7 wickets across that. And so my expectation is he's going to be a like for like sort of replacement. He's going to hit
Hmm.
the pitch hard. He's going to be sort of on the money as much as he can, and they're going to go that way. And then obviously Nathan Lyon may have to step up and bowl a bit more. And but we've seen if something happens to him, what the Aussies then what they have next is a bit of a concern. So
Yeah.
they will have massive concerns, and then their batting order, they've got to be thankful that Marnus has scored the weight of runs he has leading into this first Test match. Because if he hadn't have banged out those 400s, they'd probably be looking at replacing him. But now they're just looking at Weatherald coming in,
Hmm.
who's been arguably he's earned his right to play through weight of runs last season and early this season.
But the pressure's still on Smith and Head to be consistent throughout the 5 Test series.
Absolutely, yeah. And you've got two sort of different styles there. You've got Head, who you'd argue fits into our Bazball
Yeah,
style,
exactly. Yeah.
and that's the way that he plays. And you've got Steve Smith, who is an absolute batting legend, and he will go about it his own way, but more traditional. And that's what I suppose I look at the Australians as a more traditional method of play. Whereas England have sort of torn it up and
Hmm.
are moving forward with the Aussies are still a bit of a throwback where you take your time with your batting, you don't play any rash shots. Sort of what Steve Smith does. You build, and they've always said that you make your runs in the last session. After tea is where batters score their runs, and that's the mindset that the Aussies go with, whereas England just do it from ball one. They don't care.
No,
And so that's where I think Australia, and you've got an older age group playing as well. These guys are all 30 plus. I think Cam Green he's the only one under 30 if he plays, which I suspect he will. But even he hasn't bowled that much, but he's coming into it fresh, and so the Australian players, the selectors, they'll have a definite concern about this first Test match because historically Australia have dominated Test matches. Definitely their opening Test match. It's usually been in Brisbane.
yep.
And so then Perth has also been another domination place. And so they'll be a bit nervous that could we be finishing this first Test match 1-0 down?
1974 was the last time that the Ashes started in Perth. Obviously, it was at the WACA then, no longer used for men's cricket, men's Test cricket. The Optus Stadium is an AFL ground, so it's going to be big, MCG-esque. But then, what are the England players when they move into any place, when you're at Kent or Gloucestershire? There must have been characters within that who sort of were very superstitious about where they sat. If you're going into a new change room, for example, will those superstitions and traditions still remain the same?
Yeah, people will. You have players that you like sitting next to that you're comfortable with.
Who's it in
because
your day? Who?
I'm trying to think. I avoided sitting next to Fred because
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
his kit would go everywhere, and that's the sort of stuff that's what you think about, as in, okay, how do I like my kit? Am I protective of my kit? Do I like it all neat, all tidy? Because if I'm next to Flintoff, there's a chance that his mess is just going to creep out into mine.
Strauss must have been good though. I mean, he must have been very neat and tidy.
Yeah, to a degree. Yeah, so no, pretty much. I'm trying to think who I sat with. You do have a bit of space, so there wasn't any one particular player I went to, but within the England players, you sit next to people you're comfortable with, and and there will be. I imagine there's a hierarchy as to when you first walk in that changing room at Optus. They'll have a look around. I imagine being an AFL stadium, from my memory,
be big, isn't it?
Yeah, like when I went to Perth, I didn't. When I went to Melbourne, I didn't play there. But the dressing room there is huge.
Yeah.
And so
Does it make a difference? Is it less storage? I'm guessing a smaller room, tighter bonding. Yeah, Fred's kit's everywhere, but actually you're a bit closer, a bit more bonded. Is that right, Anna?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Because nowadays you have these batters. Steve Smith carries silly amounts of gloves, doesn't he? So,
needs a change room to himself.
Yeah, and so having a big changing room, I get what you're saying about the intimacy of a small changing room, but you want the comfort of, okay, this is my space. I have a big space to sit down in and reflect and actually to make my own. So the only thing I would think with those changing rooms compared to traditional cricket changing rooms, for me, Melbourne was down. So you almost went down into you see the guys, they walk through like a tunnel. So you're down in the depths, whereas traditionally with cricket changing rooms, you're in a viewing area where you can.
The Gabba's like that as well, isn't it?
Yeah. The Gabba has absolutely, the glass area that you sit at the Gabba is freezing. Whether or not there's something they do, but the aircon in that. So it's not an actually particularly comfortable place to sit in that change room, but they'll have outside areas in front of it. But that's the big difference. So not having been to Optus and Noah, I imagine that it's similar. Being AFL, they'll be down in the stand somewhere, and then they'll have a smaller viewing area up the top. And so who gets what choice will definitely be higher up. I wouldn't want to be telling Stokesy, Ben, mate, this is
anything.
One, I think, they probably maybe walk in single file and let them go off to where they do it. But that pretty quickly gets sorted out. It's only if you go back and visit somewhere then you remember, I was here last time.
Stop there, yeah.
The newbies will hang back anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's 3 days to go. 3 days? Yeah, 3 days to go before the first test. Do you think they're pretty sure they're training, or they have trained the Optus today? They'll train there tomorrow and Thursday. How close are they to that line, to the 8, 9, 10 Jack lineup?
They'll know.
Don't
You
know
know,
now.
that's yeah. They would have had a good idea. You know, and those conversations would have been happening with those bowlers because I think just the nature of them. McCullum, he won't leave it to last minute. He'll say to whoever it is, Atkinson. And that's who I think will start that off. I think
Yeah,
he'll
I
say
think so.
because of the batting, and he
Yeah,
would have said to Gus, "Listen, you're in. Okay, get your head around it. You're giving a bit of time, and as much for yes, you could argue, well, there's a bit of build up to it, a bit of time for anxiety to kick in and pressures, but for these youngsters, actually knowing is more helpful. You know, you then can your preparation is very tailored to lacing up your boots for that first session. So you know it. You're not having sleepless nights worrying and
yeah.
with the unknown. So I think they would definitely know who's playing to allow that preparation and the mindset of okay, I'm in. Let's get ready for it.
And who are you picking? 8, 9, 10, 11?
Done some notes in preparation. I think,
Good work.
yeah.
It's a good job
School
I
teach,
WhatsApped you the questions, isn't it?
school teacher. Oh, come on, you can't say that. No, you didn't, mate. This is off the top of my head.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah. Cut that bit out. Spontaneity is the game.
Yeah, like I said, I think they'll go pace and fire. They'll look to blast out the batters, and we're talking about the Optus, and again in my research, I found that I read and heard that they've unearthed the soil, the clay, which is
Yeah,
used in original
at the
Wacker
Wacker.
pitches,
Yeah,
which were known for it. Because when I played at the Wacker, I don't remember it as being this tremendously bouncy, fast play. So I think they'd got a bit tired. But with his drop-in pitches, and if
mm,
you think generally you think of drop-in pitches, you think of Melbourne, which is a pretty sturgeon. It goes 5 days. It's not. Whereas this one, they're really anticipating it to be a throwback to what playing at the Wacker used to be like, and so they're deliberately doing that, and they're talking it up a lot. And when it comes back to lengths, the bowlers bowl. So with our guys, yes, we're ferociously quick, but at the top level, if you're ferociously quick and you bowl short, you're going to get hit. And so that length you bowl, yeah, you can ruffle some feathers, but top level batters can generally deal with that. It's the lower order where you want to blast them out, and
yeah.
that's where we've been pretty good at. So I think with that, I think the wicket will be bouncy, and so I think we're going to go Atkinson, Wood, Archer, Bashir,
Are you going
and
to
then
go with both of them? Okay, okay.
yeah, that's it. I think we're going to up front
And are you
go
going
for
with
it.
whoever wins in Perth wins the series?
Traditionally, if you look back,
Yeah,
whoever wins that first one historically, I'd just like to get it'd be great, wouldn't it? We haven't won there. We haven't won a test match there since 2011.
yeah.
It's too long.
It is a long time.
It's been zero for too long.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think we have a great chance. And with those bowlers, they can't last five. So I think
No,
mentality, get up early, win at Perth, then interesting with Brisbane with the day
pink
night.
ball,
So,
pink ball
yeah,
start difficult, right?
yeah. So I'm sure we'll discuss that. But first and foremost, let's win this first one. And our
Yeah.
best method. And if you look at the way that England has operated in the last few years, they've loved pace. Again,
Hmm.
Keys, he hated the old dibbly dobbler. Him getting out to was it Damien Martin that got him out, or Steve Water, I can't remember. But that sort of pace, he's not interested. It doesn't win you test matches. He wants talent, he wants fire, he wants pace.
Hmm.
So for me, that will be our method. And if something happens to one of our quick fiery bowlers, I'll try and bring someone in to replace that going down. But that's where I'm at. And you've got Stokes
Yeah,
as the backup.
yeah.
And so the worry is going down the 5 test matches, how we last, which comes back to only playing one warm-up match. They're not broken yet. They're ready to go. And so it
Hmm.
potentially elongated them into the series, which is, as England fans, that's what we want to see.
Going to put you on the spot as we close off now. Prediction?
Ooh, yeah. Well, I've got to say at least one with the
Yeah.
with Perth after all that, don't I? Brisbane, unknown under lights. Generally, there's a bit of rain about, especially around the Christmas time, and so
Yeah.
there'll be a bit of an effect. But the way cricket's played now, it moves forward. So fifth days potentially don't matter. If we get off to, and I want us to get off to an early start in these first two, I think Australia will fight back at some point, but I'm going to, I go 3-1. Throw it out
Yeah.
there. I
Yeah.
think it's going to be.
That was going to be mine. I think we win in Perth, start Brisbane, pink balls tough, day nighter. And let's say Australia win that one, go into, was it Adelaide after that? I think we need to win at Adelaide to go into that Boxing Day, Christmassy Sydney, sort of Melbourne, Sydney period, 2-1 up, and I think then it becomes 3-1. If we lose Brisbane and Adelaide back to back, becomes tough, I think.
Yeah, we don't do any more podcasts if that happens, mate.
No, exactly. Yeah, that's it. It's a very short Ashes series. It's like, there you go. All right, mate. Listen, probably got some teaching to do. So we've covered off those things. I will speak to you Friday after the end of the first day at the Optus. Let's see how we go. Cool.
Sounds good.
Cheers, mate. Speak to you then.
All right.
Thanks, Geraint.
We'll do.